Put him down. Put him down. I'm not looking up.
3, 2,
All right, we are back for another week, multiple weeks in a row even. I am Ross, joined by...
Oh!
And together we form the Agony of Positivity podcast, because I forgot to say the name initially.
Yes.
How are you doing?
How am I doing? I'm doing all right, I guess. Got a little head congestion.
Yeah.
But that's expected with the weather changing and everything.
Right. Yeah, I've been using the Afrin nasal spray. I'm a maniac. Yeah. You're only supposed to use it 3 consecutive days. I've used it 5.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know that those sprays increases your blood pressure, right?
Yeah, that's fine. It also increases my ability to breathe out of my nose and not wipe my nose every 30 seconds.
Sure. I give and take.
So I had moved recently back to a different neighborhood.
Yeah.
And there is definitely more like junk in the air, and I can tell. The one positive to my old neighborhood was the stuff in the air wasn't nearly as bad. So
Really?
I didn't deal with like sinus infections nearly as much as the
talking
area.
about like man-made junk or like this naturey
like stuff from like factory or the road. Like it's a higher traveled roadway.
Gotcha.
So there's more stuff. So yeah, like because growing up, like I'm basically in that same neighborhood. I always had sinus infections, and then moved away. Way less sinus infections. Moved back, sinus infection.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I feel like
So what I'm hearing is you need to become like Cobra Commander, make a huge fan above your house and just blow all the stuff away from your house.
That's excellent. I will then also release CFCs into the atmosphere to destroy the ozone layer and sell Agony of sunblock for $1 million each.
Yes.
Let's see here. Yeah, I mean that's it. Yeah, I mean I've been taking Alka-Seltzer too, like the cold and flu or cold and sinus or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I mean it allows me to function. Nasal spray sucks. It's so effective. But do you get where it like drips down like the back of your throat if you use it, or do you even use it? Okay.
Well, so my doctor prescribed me Flonase.
Yeah.
So I use Flonase every morning. And I mean that happens to me. I use it. You might want to talk to your doctor about getting some Flonase there, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know. I might.
You said you have some great health benefit now, so you go out there and just start doing that.
So strange situation because everything in my life is significantly different now for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, insurance, finances, all that stuff are different. But my brain is still used to having like a $7,000 deductible. So you know, basically I'd have to be dead before I'd ever pay the deductible. So it is significantly less now, but I still can't get it out of my head that, I really need to wait till January when everything flips over. I don't want to pay unnecessarily into my deductible.
Sure.
So it's completely silly at this point, but I'm still probably going to wait till January before I do anything because healthcare.
I understand.
I hope any of the people international that listen are just like, man, it really is true how horrible the healthcare situation is over there. Because I always see the things where they're like, wait, so you have to pay for an ambulance? Like, yep, that's a real thing.
You don't. Not up front, you don't.
No, but you still get the bill. Like, I saw people when I was working for the insurance place because they were out of their coverage area.
Yeah.
$4,000 bill for an ambulance.
Yeah. Yeah, I think mine, when I had the panic attack, was like $500.
Yeah. Well,
sure.
I mean, $500 is ridiculous as well, but $4,000 when you're not expecting it. I had a lady that, so it was a insurance plan where it was like HMO, so it's based on your area or whatever.
Yeah.
But she was out of town or doing something, and she passed out at like a restaurant because it was hot out or something like that. So the staff there called an ambulance for her, even though she didn't need one. Like she didn't want it. She recovered. The family was going to drive them, but they called the ambulance. So she got a $4,000 bill.
Sure.
So that's why I always joke everywhere I work. I was like, if something happens to me, do not call an ambulance. Roll me there, drag me there, let me die. I'm,
Sure.
Well, now I know what my copay for an ambulance is, so I'm okay with it. But previously, I also knew how much an ambulance would cost with a high deductible, which is all of it. So
you just don't pay it. Eventually, the hospital will settle out with you.
Well, that's the problem. Most ambulances are not they are not ran through the hospital. They are independent of that, and you will absolutely be sent to collections.
Really?
There are some of them. It's like I forget. There is one. It's like 123 ambulance. Like it's the most ridiculous name ever.
Yeah.
But they own like the way they're done. Like it's silly. So like even the city ones, they're billed different in a lot of cases. So it technically, I think, doesn't count as medical debt is the other part because it's a charter.
Yeah.
Like there's something. Now, keep in mind, I was dealing with ambulance companies from all over the country. So state to state is obviously going to be different. But yeah, it was bad.
Well, I do remember when the ambulance came to my house when I was having a panic attack.
Yeah.
I mean, they were checking me out and everything with my blood pressure and my heartbeat and everything. But they was also asking my wife our insurance, our name, and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought that was kind of ridiculous. I'm thinking, I could be dying here, and you're more worried about getting the.
Well, yeah, because if you don't have insurance and you can't pay, they'll still take you to the hospital, but they need to know, like, should we even bother sending these deadbeats a bill, or do we just send them straight to collections?
Sure.
Like, it's rough.
Sure.
All right. Well,
now that we completely trashed the medical.
Oh, I do a podcast just on that after some of the experiences I had.
Sure.
I mean, I'd only get like 2 or 3 episodes in before it was like, okay, I'm done. Much like we kind of ran out of things that we had a strong hatred for that we could talk about after a few, multiple dozens of episodes. We got pretty far into that.
Yeah. I mean, I could keep going, but we would get a lot of complaints.
Well, right. Yeah. There's things that we could complain about in multiple directions.
Trust me, I could get the whole the whole one side of the people attacking us if we so desired.
Let's see here. Well, the biggest thing I watched this week was AEW and news feeds for WWE releases, and then I have like a little bit of other stuff here and there we could talk about. But you want to just jump into wrestling? Or you want to get the other stuff out of the way first?
We get the other stuff out of the way first.
All right.
It's not a lot,
All right.
as far as I know.
I'm going to use these bumpers because I made them, but I don't know if we really need to. TV film stuff. Here we go.
Something that could never, ever possibly destroy us. Mr. Stay Puft.
You chose poorly. You have chosen wisely.
So I saw the majority of HalloweenKills, the new Halloween Michael Myers movie. Few days late from Halloween, but
so let me just tell you this: I have never seen a Halloween movie ever.
Okay. Have you seen Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm about to make some people mad.
Okay.
So you know how like Jason Voorhees is pretty cool?
Sure. Yeah.
Like as far as like the killers go. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, once he turned face when he fought Freddy, that kind of upped him. But he's fairly creative. He was wronged by somebody, so that's how he became who he was.
Sure.
Michael Myers is like his uncool stepbrother from the wrong family.
Yeah.
He kind of knows how to use a knife, sorta, but he stabs like all slow and dumb. And he wanted to be William Shatner, but he couldn't afford the mask that had paint on it.
Yeah, yeah.
His sister and him fight all the time.
Well, and that's what because I've seen bits and pieces of it throughout my life here. And I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was done with this whole thing, and now she's back again. I thought they ended it a long time ago.
So, basically what happens is Jason comes down from space. So I'm obviously like a Friday the 13th guy, and I don't really care for the Halloween movies so much. There have been, like, Rob Zombie did some Halloween movies. There's been a few different versions here and there, and they've kind of like retconned some stuff and tried to clean storylines up here and there is my understanding of it. But yeah, so I didn't see the very beginning.
So basically, to put it in the wrestling terms, Jason is like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Michael Myers is like Goldberg.
Gilbert.
Okay. So even lower than that. Okay, got it.
No, I mean, honestly, if you were to do that comparison, I could see if you're going to make Austin analog to Jason, that would put Freddy as The Rock due to promos, I would say.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Michael Myers is a Goldberg. Might actually not be that far off.
Gotcha.
Truthfully, Michael Myers' promos are much better than Goldberg's. So are Jason's by that regard. But
yes.
But yeah, I mean it's fair. He's like one of the big ones for sure. Like I don't personally write Leatherface anywhere near those guys. Like he'd be on Elevation or something maybe at best. So, but yeah, so the timeline to the movie. Now again, I'm not super into Halloween, so this is me as a casual observer to it. One of the last Halloween that I thought was in the same timeline, but maybe I'm wrong on the timeline, was they did Halloween H2O, which was like the Halloween 20 years later or whatever.
I remember that one, yeah.
Right, which I'm pretty sure Jamie Lee Curtis had come back for that one. I might be wrong. But so this is set timeline. It feels like it's an older timeline. I don't think people have cell phones. Like, dressing and everything is very of that era. It's like, well, even if you did the movie from the beginning and the amount of time that's passed that they said, why is it not modern?
Sure.
But, like, one of the cars I thought was modern, but maybe it wasn't. Like, there's a scene where a guy, like, drives away in a car or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I guess he, like, escaped from the somewhere and then eventually. So there's going to be some spoilers here. Just so if someone hasn't seen this movie, is listening to us and still wants to see this movie.
Yeah.
If you fall into that absurdly unique category, spoilers are coming up. Like, basically, like, this mob, like, Michael Myers exists and everybody knows it. So you don't have that whole thing like, oh, everybody's just afraid. You know, like, there's no sheriff being like, well, that's impossible. Like, you don't really get any of that stuff. Like a lot of the horror movies would do from time to time.
So he's a convicted killer, I guess.
I mean, they acknowledge that he's some kind of, like...
Is he supernatural, or is he just some dude that puts a mask on?
He's some degree of supernatural because they recognize that he's, like, unstoppable.
Okay.
And then there's actually like a really cool scene that almost turned me around on him.
Okay.
Towards the end. But yeah, so it's like he shows up and like he kills like a ton of people in this movie, and it's fairly brutal. Like he stabs them. He stabs one guy through the eye socket into the brain. Yeah. And I was just like, oh man, I cannot imagine how much that would hurt before I didn't know that it hurt anymore. Fortunately, I don't think it would take long. But yeah, so he's like super brutal in this one, which I do like. If you're going to have like your hulking, unstoppable person, at least let them be brutal. You know, it's something. But yeah, so they're like the town is basically starting up like a mob to go find Michael Myers and kill him.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I'm gonna skip a lot of stuff because I don't really like it matters, but not really, not for this discussion. So this guy that like he was gonna steal a car or something in the beginning of the movie, and everybody thought it was Michael Myers. It's clearly not Michael Myers. The guy's like the size of Danny DeVito. But for some reason, like this guy's at the hospital. Like the mob, like the warmonger mob that's been stirred up to go kill Michael Myers is in the hospital. I guess because they keep bringing people there and they think he's there or something. Again, I miss parts here and there, so that might not be a perfect representation of what was going on. That's just how I took it.
Okay.
So somehow they realize this guy's there. I don't know if he was like locked up in the same place that Michael Myers was at one time, but everybody thinks this guy that's like Danny DeVito looking, like as the Penguin. Like I just don't understand what's going on. They're convinced that this guy is Michael Myers. There's the main characters know that it's not, but the mob won't listen to him, so they're coming to kill the guy. He's caught on like one of the upper floors between two doors where he's like being flanked basically. So he pulls like a fire extinguisher off the wall, busts the window, and like jumps to his death rather than being, you know, whatever the mob would have done to him. Which, to be fair, in that situation, that's probably your better option because the Lord knows what they're going to do. So the family of Michael Myers, like, they fight him in his house. Like, he went back to his house, and he just wrecks everybody, like, involved in that. Like, he's, like, super quick in some cases.
Okay.
Because, like, people are getting ready to shoot him, and he, like, straight arms, like, the gun away or whatever. So I don't know if it was supposed to be portrayed that he's, like, uncannily fast, or people, you know, if you've never shot somebody and you're pointing a shotgun at someone, there's going to be some hesitation, quite possibly, depending on the situation, especially if you're horrified that you just saw somebody like rip someone's head off. You know, so I can see that. But his family like lures him away, like to another street, and all of a sudden, all these people, it's like if you ever saw like the Dream Warriors where they're all ready to fight Freddy. It's basically like an angry street mob that like people have bats, clubs. One guy's got like a 4x4. Like, did you just go like steal like the post from somebody's wooden fence and cut it off? Like,
so all these people were like,
yeah, they like
ready to square off on Michael Myers.
And they got like the headlights on him, and they just beat the tar out of him. Because a lot of the people he's killed like a member of their family or something, I think. And they're just tired of it, so they're like, all right, the whole evil dies tonight is what their battle cry is. And like, so they just beat the tar out of him. The one, I don't know if it would be as an aunt to him. Like, I don't know what the family relation would be, but she was part of his family. Like, he drops his like butcher knife, and before she walks away, she stabs him in the back with it. And then he's laying there, and you're like, oh, it was literally like 15 people just beating him with weapons. So there's like a sheriff deputy or something like that Michael killed his daughter. So he's walking up and getting ready to shoot him in the head. But Jamie Lee Curtis is doing this monologue where fear or whatever is what gives Michael Myers his strength, and you can never kill him, kind of thing.
So she's monologuing as they're beating him up.
Well, she's in the hospital or something. Like, she's staring at a window.
Gotcha.
But she's
I
just
thought
like...
she was like doing some kind of pep rally speech.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
Like, rise, my Michael Myers.
Yeah, gotcha.
So yeah, so all of a sudden, like, he comes back to life, and he makes like if you were cheering for Michael Myers, he makes the biggest babyface comeback of all time, because he just kills like 15 people, like he's a ninja.
So he starts going in Ultimate Warrior mode then, right?
Yeah. So like the guy's about to shoot him in the head, because he got shot like in the chest like a few times, like. Yeah. But the guy that was trying to shoot him in the head. Now, this is before he got, like, the beat down, but he, like, cuts his wrist. So, like, he can't hold the gun right, so he ends up shooting him in the chest instead of the head, I think, is what they were going for. This guy's getting ready to. All of a sudden, he, like, in one motion, it looked like, he grabs the knife out of his back and stabs this guy in the arm and then, like, snaps his neck. So now when people are starting to swing at him, he's like parrying their blow and then stabbing them and tossing them to the side.
So how is he getting this power?
Fear, I guess. Like,
but why would you start fearing a guy if you're beating the hell out of him?
Because other people in the town are afraid of him. Maybe, I don't know. Like, I assume it's like the reverse of Goku and the Spirit Bomb.
Yes,
where he calls for the energy. Like, so any fear of him can give him energy. And he just had to lay there for a little bit to recharge.
See, now if they would have said that, and he would have put his hand up or whatever, then I could get behind that. But
if all of a sudden they give Michael Myers a personality and it's basically Goku,
yes, I don't know. And that's the problem I have with horror films. Like, where did he get this power at? So,
well, at least like with Jason, when he becomes like totally supernatural, it's because he was like dead and they shoved a pike in him and then it got struck by lightning and reanimated him. Like, that's how I always took that one.
Sure.
And from there it just went super wild and crazy. But yeah. so the end is basically Michael Myers kills everybody, but not Jamie Lee Curtis.
Sure. She still has to make money off this franchise.
Yeah, but if you see, like, I mean, he just like takes these people out. And it's like, I kind of saw it coming because I was like, I just can't believe that they're going to try to definitively kill him. So let's see what happens. And then he just fired up, pointed at him. He was dropping legs on everybody.
So at the end, no one won.
I mean, technically Michael Myers won. Like 100%. He won. Like, he killed everybody that except for Jamie Lee Curtis. So I mean, she's getting older. So
why doesn't he kill Jamie Lee Curtis? This ended.
I mean, he couldn't get to her.
Oh, okay. I mean,
or something.
He's a walking tank. So why? You know what I'm saying?
Right. I can't explain it. Like, if you're I'm sure if you're like super into the franchise, you can probably, like, there's probably reasons behind stuff. But like my brother had said, he's watched probably all of the Halloweens.
Yeah. But
not with where it's like, oh, I remember this and this and this. It was just kind of like you're watching it because it's on.
Sure.
So, let's see here. So that's that. You got anything that you watched, or did you watch the Arcane, the League of Legends show?
No.
Yeah, me either. Because what'll happen? So League of Legends, the thing I don't like about it is if you play the normal mode, you're looking at like 45-minute games a lot of times.
Okay.
Last I knew, maybe they did something to speed it up. Excuse me. Heroes of the Storm, the Blizzard version of that style game, it was like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd much rather play like the 20-minute version than the 45-minute version. Like, if I'm going to have a bad time and be on a bad team, or I'm just getting outclassed by people, I'd like it to be over in a reasonable amount of time. I don't want to commit an hour to just hating a game. So, but if I watch that, it's going to make me want to try to play that. And then
I remember what I watched, and I want to talk to you about. So I was I wanted to watch a Western, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Because growing up, my dad loved Westerns, and he always watched every John Wayne movie that that were ever made. But there's this one movie that called McClintock, and I was like, you know what? I've never seen my dad watch this John Wayne movie, and it's a Western. I'm like, that's weird that my dad never watched this movie. So I get on there and I start watching.
John Wayne?
Huh?
John Wayne?
Yeah, it's a John Wayne movie. It's a Western and everything, and it was weird that my dad never watched it because it's a John Wayne Western. And I was like, well, I'm going to watch it. So I watch it, and very early on, it starts reasoning. It made sense to me why my dad never watched this movie.
So a Western comedy?
It's a comedy, and I mean, it's very funny. John Wayne's very funny in it.
Yeah.
There's not one shootout. I think no one uses a gun at all in the movie. It's just weird, and I'm like, wow, I can see why my dad never watched this because my dad's not big into comedies.
I believe that.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny. John Wayne's surprisingly funny in the movie. But yeah.
Well, I'm looking. So it's McClintock.
Yep.
McClintock! Yes. I'm looking on the Wikipedia page, and it has like the theatrical poster, and it says "wallops the daylights out of every Western you've ever seen."
Yeah.
John Wayne, Maureen O'Hara, McClintock is magnificent.
So it's funny because the movie's about John Wayne. Basically, he's a big cattle baron.
Yeah.
So he controls like all this cattle and everything, and his daughter and his wife, because John Wayne was it was a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
His wife thought that John Wayne was cheating on her, and he wasn't. John Wayne was just a drunk. He liked to party too much.
Yeah.
And I guess some woman kissed his I don't know, his neck or something. And it was him himself was not fooling around on her, but she mistakes it as he was cheating on her. So she moves out to New York, and the whole movie's about her coming back to Texas to get a divorce from John Wayne, and then shenanigans happens.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking through this, and it seems like usually when you read like the plot to a movie on Wikipedia, it's fairly succinct. This is like paragraphs long.
Yeah, I mean it's like not.
So does this culminate on the 4th of July celebration?
Yeah, it's during the 4th of July.
Because someone gets tarred and feathered with molasses and goose feathers.
Yes. There's someone gets tarred and feathered. Dick Van Dyke's brother's in it, so I knew right away when he was in it that it was going to be a comedy, even more so.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Man. Yeah. So not what you were expecting at all.
Yeah, I wanted the Western, not a comedy Western. I mean, like I said, it was funny, but
yeah,
I was like, okay, well, I can see why my dad never watched this movie.
Right. It's No the Shootist.
No, that one's depressing.
Yes, but it's very good. But yeah, you're
sure.
not going to walk away like wanting to skip around. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right. Would you like to talk any video game stuff?
I really have no video games to discuss.
I have very little, but we'll hit it real quick for just a second here.
Get over here! Time's up. Let's do this.
All right. So the biggest thing is if you're listening to this, you play video games, and you've not checked out, and you have a computer, you can get the Xbox Game Pass thing. I don't know if it's widespread, but I had an offer for $1 for 3 months, basically. So I feel like that's worth pointing out to people if you're not like actually checking that out every once in a while, because they do run, like, I got it like this last year. And so even if you're questioning it, I feel like that's definitely worth the value to give it a check and see if you like it or not. because they have a decent amount of stuff. You'll be able to get Halo Infinite to play when that comes out, assuming you have enough space on your hard drive. Halo 4 is like 126 gigs or something. I would have to remove some of my games to be able to even download that.
Yeah.
But there's that. We were talking about before the show, Hearthstone had a new tavern brawl this week that is just ridiculous. It's like Battlegrounds meets a single player game, and it gives you like these super weird cards to play. I played it like right before the show again. I think I hate it, but I'm not sure. You seem to like it, yeah? Or is like a strong word?
I mean, I don't think it's the best thing I've ever played, or should I say watched. It's more watching than playing.
Right. Well, because, yeah, like, you're, like, rushed almost, like, that might not be the right way to say it, but, like, Battlegrounds, you have, like, 2 minutes almost between decision-making, so you can, like, get up and do something. This is, like, lickety-split.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact if you just want something that's very mindless, it's even more so, like you said, than Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't say it's the best thing ever, but.
So, have you ever played? I'm gonna ask. So, I'm looking at the recently added on the Xbox Game Pass thing here.
Yeah.
Were you ever into like the Diablo style games?
No, I never liked Diablo.
Because there's a game. It's Minecraft Dungeons. So it's like Minecraft, but it's actually more that style game, I guess you could say. Is how I felt that it was. So it's if you're into that and you're like, I'm not really into Minecraft, the Minecraft Dungeons though might be something for you to try out. So
yeah, I'm not into Minecraft at all. So maybe Dungeons might be it, because I never understood the obsession of Minecraft.
I mean, the reality is like Minecraft is basically what we did in Conan Exiles. So
it's true, but
different setting,
terrible
obviously.
graphics.
Yes, but it allows the game to run smoother.
Sure.
I guess. But all right, that's really all. I just wanted to mention like the Xbox Game Pass thing, all that. I still haven't really played anything. I downloaded Back 4 Blood, but didn't get a chance to play it yet.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of, like, I'm starting to have time, like, overtime's over again. So, I think I'll have time. But we'll see. I hooked up my Switch. I gotta see if there's anything I want to get on that. I'm not into Metroid, so that doesn't do me any good.
I played one on the, I think it was 64.
Uh-huh.
No, it was the GameCube, I think. That I enjoyed. But,
was it the first-person Metroid, or?
Yes, it was first person.
Okay, I think that's Prime. I really like... Well, so it's hard because... So Super Nintendo era, they had Super Metroid.
Yeah.
And my friend had it and let me borrow it, and I played a ton of it. Like, I did not know it at the time, but I was speed running it, basically. And I was doing, like, I wasn't doing, like, exploits or anything, but I was just playing the game like you're supposed to, as quick as I could. And I don't know if that's because I really liked the game, or if it was like, well, this is the only game I have right now, so I guess I'm just going to keep playing it. Like, I can't remember my mental state back then. So, as far as how that worked, because there was definitely times, like, you could go to, like, the video shop or the comic store and rent video games back then. Like, even if you rented, like, the worst game ever, you were playing it for the weekend because that's the only new game you had.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of games that I was like, man, this is bad. And I'd play it for, like, an hour, and I'm like, I ain't playing this anymore. But, like you said, you rented it for the weekend, and, like, later that night, you'd be like, oh, I'll give that game another try.
Yeah, it was still bad. The worst I ever had, it was Super Nintendo. It was Populous, but it didn't have an instruction booklet. But it was like the only game in that I hadn't played. And all the other games, like, I remember a lot about this particular time. And it was like, all right, yeah. Like, all the games that I would have wanted were out or the games that were in, just they weren't very good either.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'd rather try something new than something that was like just sort of okay.
Yeah.
And like Wings 2 Aces High, I think was one of the games that I loved to rent all the time.
Yeah.
Because that was like, you're the Sopwith Camel, I think, and it's like World War II dogfighting game kind of. But yeah, Populous with no instructions, not an easy game to play. So
Sure.
it was just a complete exercise in futility.
Well, since you mentioned Nintendo here, we didn't talk about the uproar about Nintendo's Plus Pass of like getting Nintendo 64 games.
Oh, well, and the thing I heard about that was that just the game experience itself is awful.
Yeah, sure.
Like, not only are they like upcharging you, which I don't really care, like, whatever, because I feel like it's like what, $20 for the Nintendo Online thing, and then they're doing like some kind of upcharge for the N64 stuff. But,
yeah, it's like it puts it up to like $50.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
but I mean, I haven't heard anything good about it.
Yeah.
And honestly, when I had the Nintendo 64, like, let's see here, Game Pass, I guess what you'd call it. I'm just trying to look for a list of the games. So I didn't have this Nintendo 64 when it first came out. My stepbrother had one, so he was into like Mario 64 and some of those games. And so I played it over there, like Mario Kart or something. But beyond that, I didn't really care for the Nintendo 64 until the wrestling games came out.
Yeah.
Because then it was like, oh, we can, all four of us have a controller. We can all play. This is going to be awesome. And that lasted for like 15 years of playing the various wrestling games that came out. And I'm sorry, and GoldenEye. GoldenEye made it once I was in like a group of people that had games. Those were big.
GoldenEye, then later Perfect Dark.
See, I never played that one.
It was just a more updated version of GoldenEye, basically. That's all it was.
Different characters.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a different character. I mean, it wasn't James Bond, but it was, yeah, basically it's the same thing.
Yeah, because we had moved on to the wrestling games. Like, once those came out, it was over. It was like, oh, this is awesome. But, yeah, I'm looking at, like, the game list, and it's not even a lot of... It doesn't list a lot of games.
Yeah.
Because you got, like, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, not even...
Yeah.
Mario Kart, Star Fox, Dr. Mario 64. There's no way that was a real game.
Maybe.
I don't know. And a few other games like I'm not familiar with, and then it's like if that's all it is, and you're paying $20 for that, no, that's a joke. Because it says included games, and there's 9 games. Are you kidding?
So I think this will kind of lead us into wrestling. What do you think about AEW's wrestling game? So they pretty much know what the fans want.
Yes.
And they've kind of alluded to that's what they're going to go with. Do you think they're setting themselves up for failure? Because if it's not exactly like how it was, people are going to hate it.
I'm going to use our wrestling bumper now, because this will definitely bleed over to the wrestling talk. And I have nothing else on games, so here we go.
Well, I don't know what the hell's going on here, folks. Looks like he's just wearing blue pants.
This is a revolution.
All right. So to me on this, there are basically 2 games that they can pull from. Like the Virtual Pro Wrestler, No Mercy, like that style game from THQ.
Yep.
And then SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain.
Yeah.
To me, those are probably 2 of the best wrestling games that I've played. I'm not a fan of the Fire Pro Wrestling style, although I kind of like how you can sim it, but I don't like the way the game plays. Like it's not fun to me. So they can do a blend of those two games. Like they can go 100% No Mercy, but maybe sped up a little bit. They can go Here Comes the Pain. They can do some kind of mixture that makes sense. So they have a pretty wide array to work with.
Yeah.
If the gameplay is good, which the amount of people on the AEW roster that have played those games and are fond of them,
Sure.
internally they have a good base. I mean, you got, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Santana or Ortiz who was doing the whip into the backstage area during the One Stadium Stampede, which I think was mentioned that he did that on purpose because he thought it was funny. So like there's people who are definitely like active in playing that game and know what makes it good. Kenny's into like the Street Fighter game, so he understands like it being competitive and feeling good. So I think they should be okay. Whether people will actually get into it though is another question, because how often do you see like a huge outcry of people being like, this is what we want, and then they're giving it and nobody cares?
Well, I just worry about them worrying about the graphics, and and the rest of the game just plays like garbage. Because I would much rather them go to a more cartoonish graphics if it gives me a better gameplay. You know what I'm saying?
Well, when we saw like the WWE Battleground or whatever game it was, where it was like super cartoony, but we were watching it and it was like, well, if the gameplay is good, then that's fine.
Which it wasn't.
Right.
From what I've heard.
Because I really wanted that game to be like a fun one to play, because I do not care for the 2K games very much. Now 2K20 was just, apparently it still is in some cases, like a total mess. But
I've seen like entire YouTube channels devoted to just how crappy it is, and these people are like, I love how great. So there's like an actual cult following because it's so crappy that people actually think it's fun.
Right. Well, it seems like anybody who like streams it or does anything with it, like 19 is the one that was like, they did good with 19. But the thing is, like 19, it hardly ever goes on sale. Like if I could pick it up for like $10 occasionally on Steam, I might do that. Just to have a like, I enjoy wrestling games. Like getting the Nintendo 64, like the No Mercy hacks or ROMs or whatever, where they've done stuff to it, is a pain in the butt to get to work. And I just don't want to go to that much effort. And I got to remap a controller, because the emulator and the controller thing, like, it's more work than I'm willing to do. Like, at that point, I'll just bust out my Nintendo 64 and play the old No Mercy on the TV. So I'm hoping, because if you're into wrestling, you want a wrestling video game, I would assume. Like, so I think as long as it's like plays decent, the only thing that they could possibly underestimate is like career mode, or like what you can do with it online. Like create a wrestler, like that kind of stuff is going to be real important. So I don't know. I just can't see them messing it up. But how many times have we felt that way with other things, and especially in gaming, and then you see it and you're like, are you kidding? Like, I'm going to pick on Blizzard for a second with that, where it's like you see an obvious problem in Warcraft, and then they literally are doing like a beta test to get information on it, and everyone involved in the beta test is like, hey, this is bad and doesn't work right and it sucks. And then they ignore that, push it out, and then 9 months later they finally do something about it, which people told them before they even released it.
I still think they made a mistake, Blizzard, for not doing a classic like reimage of like with today's graphics with it. I think that was a big mistake.
Yeah, like give it to where you can turn on like the new models.
I mean, make two different games or whatever. I don't know what you're going to do, but you're not going to get new player base with the crappy with crappy graphics.
Yeah,
And,
I mean more than
some of
like
these-
someone checking it out.
the old-fashioned diehards. I mean, those are not the people that you want to get. You want the new you want the new generation,
Right.
and they just made a mistake.
Yeah, it sounds like they're doing like that the remix. I don't know what they're calling it at this point.
Oh, the Age of Mastery or whatever else it's
Yeah.
called.
Like
Yeah.
maybe that'll be interesting, but we'll see.
Yeah, who
But
knows?
yeah. Yeah, like the screenshots I've seen though, like the short videos we've seen out of AEW for their game. I mean, it looks like what I would want,
Yep.
but who knows, like without seeing the control scheme and how it works, it's hard to say. Because if it is close to that like No Mercy style, which the benefit of that is like you can not know how to play the game, but you could pick it up reasonably well and at least like have some fun with it. Whereas if they use like, I think it was the Warzone game where you had to do like Street Fighter combos for all the moves, and it was awful. So now I don't think they would go that route. I think if anything, they'll be too close to No Mercy style. Like that might be like not upgrading some things, or maybe they should. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm optimistic. Like just something that's different. Like it can be like kind of arcadey and a little bit faster. Like I'm fine with that. It doesn't have to be a sim. But yeah, I mean, and you know what? If Kenny Omega does a V trigger and there's sparks that fly off the person like it's a Power Ranger fight, that's fine too.
Yeah, I just asked. I don't know.
I mean, I would prefer like people not
I'm
fly into the
optimistic.
air for every move, but
I'm optimistic. We'll see what happens.
I mean, they know what people want at least. Like as a company, they've shown they try to listen to the fans, possibly to their detriment in some cases. But
Yes.
like, I think they know what people want out of a wrestling game. 'Cause-
Well, yeah.
yeah. So we'll see. But, I mean, we're probably 5 years off at this point. Lord, everything's getting pushed back. So,
Sure.
all right.
We'll be 70 and it'll come out.
So before we get to actual Dynamite, I guess.
Yeah.
WWE has laid off more people.
Yeah.
To me, the biggest names, like, I mean, we're way behind the times on like being super current on this. Like it was days ago. So, I mean, there's people who have dedicated YouTube channels to it already, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But so Keith Lee and Ember Moon feel like the two biggest surprises to me. Well, let me rephrase that. Surprise isn't the right word, but surprised that you couldn't do something with these people.
I don't know. I think also in that category. Now, I don't know a lot about the guy because I didn't follow him on the Independents.
Yeah.
But what was he on the Independent? Killer Croc?
Cross, yeah, him and Scarlett.
Yeah, whatever his name was on
Right.
the Independents, and I don't know what his name was on
Yeah.
WWE. But I think that's a miss one right there. I think.
I would agree. I wasn't into the guy a ton, but
Yeah.
people were like, and he could have been like, I would accept more that he might have been a guy that just doesn't work for WWE.
Sure.
But you have his wife who's like a valet to him, who
Yep.
also can wrestle.
Yeah.
Maybe you keep those two together because it works. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that was. Yeah.
Like they gave him this weird gladiator mask thing. Like,
Yeah.
again, I didn't really care for the guy, but you didn't do anything that really made me like, oh, I'm interested in this guy. Other than the most I did was I checked out a couple YouTube clips to be like, is this as bad as people are saying? And it's like, it's probably not that bad, but it is super weird.
Well, the thing that they had in NXT, I think Triple H did a pretty good job with making that character.
Yeah.
And they call him up in WWE, like you said, put some kind of weird ass
gladiator
thing on him, or
Shao
I don't
Kahn
know.
outfit or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I just don't know what it was. Keith Lee, I just don't understand. Like, fine, he's not going to be your world champion for whatever reason. I can get behind that. How is he not in, like, he's not worthy of like a Kane type role where he's a big guy that like is kind of like a proving ground, like, oh, hey, this guy's pretty big and can do some stuff. Can you have a good match with him? All right, then you're fine. Like, or, oh, this guy's big and a monster. This is like your training big monster guy kind of like, how is there not a use for him?
I don't think they know how to use it. People like that, because they did the same thing with Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
I don't know where he is. Is he still in with WWE?
He is on injury reserve, I believe, in NXT.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Gotcha.
Well, and the thing is, like, Joe, if you tell me that you don't think Samoa Joe can cut a promo, like,
Yeah.
you don't have a use for that guy, like, in some capacity? I don't understand.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, it doesn't matter, because, like, we were talking, like, Ember Moon. So, character-wise, I don't know that she ever really got a chance to develop anything on, like, the main roster.
Yeah.
But she was good in the ring. It seems like you'd want someone like that around just for some of the newer people that you have coming through, especially with the women. But, I mean, ring work doesn't matter in WWE.
No.
Which I'm not necessarily against that mentality where being able to be a character, be interesting is more important.
Yeah.
But what I see out of the character stuff that they put is like, well, this is garbage too. Like, if I'm going to pick between like super lame stories and lame characters versus good ring work, at least give me something to watch in the ring.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
It's like, I don't know. Like, I saw some report, and I don't know if it's true. Like, they're not going to look at new women wrestlers unless they're under 25 or something.
Oh, yeah. I read that. Yeah.
Like, that can't be. Like, I feel like that's one of those things where I would hope the actual direction is we are looking specifically for younger talent. That is what we are wanting to find. But you can't tell me if, well, you'd like to think, like, oh, but if there's someone who's like super experienced and who would be valuable to have in the locker room, we'll look at them, but maybe not. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, I understand doing the whole younger, you only want younger wrestlers. I get it, because, you know, they're not beat down and,
yeah,
you know, hurt a lot. I understand that, but yeah.
Yeah, but like, I mean, they have to have some value, but maybe they feel they have enough people that are experienced. Like, I don't know. Again, they made millions of dollars, so
Sure.
it doesn't matter what they're doing. But I don't know. I mean,
Well,
like,
and someone said, I don't know where I heard this at, but they're like, if Roman Reigns gets hurt or something like that,
yeah,
WWE's hurting. Because he's the only thing that's going right now.
he is probably the largest thing that gets my social media YouTube engagement. Is
Sure.
I will check out his segments a lot. And then if I hear about honestly, a lot of the other stuff I will look to check out is when I hear something was just a disaster, like the Becky Lynch Charlotte belt thing. I had to look into that because I was like, is this as bad as people are saying? Like the Roman stuff, it's usually like, oh, that sounds like that was a really cool segment. I'm going to watch that.
Sure.
They don't have a lot of that sounds like a really cool segment. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
And now that I'm at work, when like Raw and SmackDown are on, there's like zero chance that, you know, like, because I would put Raw on or SmackDown on sometimes just like to have on and kind of see what was going on with it while I was playing like some Hearthstone or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, they don't even get like a passive view out of me. So,
Yeah.
we're like AEW still at this point. I'll like record like Dynamite. I pretty much watch all of Dynamite every week. Rampage, like this week I watched all of Rampage because I thought it was pretty good. Like,
yeah, this week's Rampage is good. Yeah.
Some weeks I watch like the first match of Rampage and I might skip the middle one or whatever. But
yeah.
So let's go back in time here to Wednesday for Dynamite. Now I pointed this out to my wife. I was like, it's funny, when I used to record Raw, which is 3 hours, I would like, this is going back years and years. It'd be curious now. I might record one just to see how much I actually watch, but the 3 hour show I might be able to watch in like an hour.
Yeah.
Just from skipping everything that I don't care about.
Fast forward through, yeah.
But like a 2 hour Dynamite, like, even though it's recorded, there's very little that I skip.
Yeah.
Like, it still takes me about an hour and a half to get through Dynamite when I'm like fast forwarding everything.
And we could talk about this, but like the whole Miro and Orange Cassidy match.
Yeah.
Did that happen on Dynamite?
Yeah.
I did not see that match at all. Because I think there was one time where I took the dogs out to use the restroom and everything.
Yeah, it wasn't very long that I recall.
Okay, so it must have been during that time, because I was seeing on social media, I think Miro already wrestled. What?
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, so this week, so Moxley's out. He's getting some help basically for an alcohol problem.
Yeah.
Which again, the one thing that is good, I guess, is we haven't heard a story of him like, he was in the ring drunk and dropped me on my head. Like, whatever problem he's had, hopefully it's like the early stages.
Yeah.
Or he was just like, I really don't want to do this book tour. I'm going to go to rehab. But yeah, so the show kicks off. Like, not to make light of it, but I mean, he definitely didn't sound like he wanted to do the book tour. Like, it's a serious thing, but like just kind of a lighter take on it, maybe.
Sure.
We get Kenny Omega.
Oh no, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I thought they spent a little bit too much time on it.
Right.
I mean, I think they could just said, hey, he's having some difficulties, personal life, whatever. He's getting some help, and I would have moved on from it. I thought they just took too long about it. I don't know.
The way I can kind of see it is, and we were talking about this with like before the show started, like kind of like Hangman. He took time off to be with his family, and
Sure.
probably derailed a story a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was okay because any sane person would do that. Now I think Hangman is a private person from what it seems like, so he probably didn't want them to talk about that a whole bunch.
Sure.
You have to assume with Moxley that he told him it's okay to mention it. I mean, he's known people like Danny Havoc and stuff like that needed help or, could have used help, those kind of things. So maybe he was like, you guys can go ahead and talk about this because maybe it'll get people thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because, and if that is the purpose behind it, to be like, look, it's okay to ask for help with things, then I'm okay with them taking the extra time.
Yeah.
Like, but I can see what you're saying. Like, it did, like, there was a big chunk of it, but if they're wanting to use that as a platform to talk to me, like, look, because, I mean, we both know mental health is a big deal, and we're old enough to where talking about mental health isn't okay, like, with a lot of people.
Sure.
Like, it's very looked down on, where it's like, oh, I need help. Oh, you're weak. Or it's like, if I was hanging off a cliff and I were to ask for help, would you be like, what a weakling? He can't even pull himself up off the cliff. Like,
Yeah, it's very surprising. A lot of people, when you talk about your struggles,
yeah,
they kind of like, for one thing, maybe they've never experienced it,
right.
and they're just like, yeah. It's just toughen up, cowboy it up, or whatever. It's like, well, no, it's.
I could promise you, if it was that easy.
Well, it's funny, and then we'll go back to wrestling.
Yeah.
But when I was getting my blood pressure tested a couple like a month ago, For whatever reason, I have panic attacks when I'm getting like my blood pressure tested, and the lady's like, "Well," she goes, "There's nothing to be afraid of. Just don't be afraid of it." I was like, "Oh, well, okay.
All right.
Hold on here. Let me switch gears." I was like,
Right. For whatever reason, mentally or physically, like
"Yeah,
that is your reaction. Like it gives you some form of anxiety or some form of panic.
yeah."
It's hard. You can't just turn it off.
I don't know anybody that would that's experiencing some kind of mental issue to be like, "Oh, I'll just switch it off." Well, thank you. I never knew that.
I mean, I'm sure there are people who can, but
yeah, if it was that easy, I'm sure a lot of people would do it.
yeah. Well, I saw, and then we'll get off this here shortly, but I do think the mental health stuff I think is definitely important and worth a little bit of time.
Sure.
I saw a post someone made, I think it was on Reddit or something, where the doctor was asking the lady or the guy, whatever it was, be like, "Oh, have you ever had, like severe depression or like, those kinds of thoughts, like sadness, depression, whatever?" And it was like,
Yeah.
"Well, doesn't everybody?" They were like, "Well, no," because it's not technically normal, but
Yeah.
like you just kind of assume everyone feels that way because you feel it so much.
Sure.
I mean, it's very telling that, like, you would think that, like, if you're like, "Oh, I'm sure everyone has like these bad days and they kind of feel down in the dumps." There's people who don't, but it's so foreign to even think that way. So yeah, so if I would agree that they could have possibly spent a lot of time on it, but if they actually were thinking, like, all of them together, like Moxley portrays a pretty tough, like, just deal with it kind of guy, but if mental health is important to him and he's asking for help or whatever, then if that
if Moxley wanted to say, "Hey, if you can use this as a talking point," that's fine. But far as a character goes, because they was turning him heel,
it's going to be hard to come back.
He's not going to be a heel when he comes back. So
not that first night at least.
That's what I'm saying. So that's all I was saying. So
yeah. But yeah, which is unfortunate from a selfish standpoint because I really wanted to see what he was going to do to Orange Cassidy. But yeah, so we got Alan Angels and Omega. Another match between these two. For those who are not aware, I'm sure you heard about it all week though. Kenny gave like Alan Angels like 7 minutes on Dark, I think it was, and people just melted down. That he was, and it was a good match. Like
it was,
because I remember watching the match being like, "Oh, Alan Angels is pretty good." And then like it didn't. Other than like, "Oh, this is like an unknown guy who's like being pretty competitive with Kenny Omega," that's the end of it. And then I remember reading stuff online, and I was like, "Why are people this angry about this?" Like,
yeah, I mean, I just think they like your champion to just squash people.
Well, I mean, I'm saying this was like back the pandemic is when the first match happened.
Oh,
and people were unhappy about it then.
Sure, because they look at when Scott Hall did it with Chris Jericho,
Yeah.
They're like, you should be destroying Chris Jericho, But like Hall's like, well, no, you want to build somebody for the future type thing. But some people don't get that.
Yeah, I guess not. But I did like where Jim Ross was talking about how Alan might have Omega's number. Like he's just a guy that he's always going to have problems with.
Yeah.
So, which is fine. Like,
there's nothing wrong with storytelling like that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, this was a pretty good match, but I would say Kenny won pretty decisively overall.
Mm-hmm.
Other than just like Angels, it was very competitive, but it was a good match. I enjoyed it. So, they were gonna obliterate him, but Hangman makes the save. So, Hangman playing the role of Sting, still it feels like yes. Where he doesn't say a lot. He did basically say like, "I'm taking that belt from you," and not exactly those words.
Yeah,
which is about the most direct he's been about it. but I think that's fine.
Poor Hangman. He's not going to keep the belt long. I don't think.
I don't think so either. But I think it's okay. Like
no, I agree with you. I think it's good for especially as a face.
Yeah,
they don't have the belt long because it gets boring.
And again, my current history of face champions has been basically Moxley, who weird situation without a crowd. Like who knows how that would have been if he could have did what he wanted. That could have been the greatest face champion run ever.
Sure.
WWE does not do a good job with champions in general, let alone face champions.
Yes.
I don't watch like other promotions enough to know how they handle it, but I'm usually not into the face runs. They might have something in store for Hangman that'll be totally different. But
sure.
Honestly, have you ever had a goal that you made for yourself, like where you obtained the goal and then it was just like, that's it?
Sure.
My example for that is, so I had started, this was forever ago, but when I was rock climbing, there was like a certain route that I wanted to do. And I started doing like extra training, like lifting, like all that kind of stuff, because like I just couldn't do this route. And as part of that, I started doing this thing where I was doing like push-ups, squats, and sit-ups, like all those like, body weight stuff, where I'd start at like 10, do 10 of everything, then do 9, then do 8, like basically count down. So somewhere along the way, like, and it blasted me past like the route I was having a problem with climbing. But I was like, I really want to see if I can do, like, basically start at like 20, so 20 push-ups, 20 squats, whatever, then do 19, then do 18. You end up doing like 200 and some, like I forget the exact number, but it was crazy for me at the time. That was my goal. And once I hit that goal, I did that exercise routine one more time after that and quit. Because it was like, my goal was 20. Yeah, I could have been like, oh, I wonder if I can get up to 50, which would have taken like an hour. And I'm not going to do push-ups for an hour. That's stupid. But yeah, like I hit that goal that I had, and then it was just all downhill from there. Like, the other side of it didn't matter. That's how I feel with Hangman at the moment, is I want to see him win the belt. He can lose it Wednesday following. But the thing that I want to see is he needs to win that belt. Like that's the pinnacle, so to say, of the story arc to me. Like,
I agree with that. Yeah.
Whether he has one defense or 100 doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But like it's weird, like, because I'm like 99% sure Hangman's winning that belt.
Yeah.
And I really want to see it happen. Like, it's like, oh, I know the result almost certainly, but I actually look forward to seeing it. That is not normal, I guess, for me with wrestling. So, do you kind of feel the same on that, or do you need him to have like a 7-year reign for it to feel fulfilling?
No, I don't need him. No, I don't want that.
Okay. Are you okay with like 2 or 3 good defenses and then him get cheated by somebody?
Yeah, I'd be okay with the next pay-per-view.
Like hold it for 3 months, basically.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Now, would you like to see him get some like maybe he's the guy that defends it on television all the time?
Yeah, I can see his character going that route. Yeah.
Yeah, like I really like that part. I'm not like, I don't know what kind of champion he's going to be. So that's kind of exciting to see as well. So, but I mean, we're like a week away, so we'll find out very soon. Hopefully.
I don't know what kind of champion they would make him be.
Yeah, because you've had Jericho was like your traditional heel champion. Moxley was the I'll fight anybody.
Yeah.
Preferably on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Champion.
Yeah.
Then we had Kenny, who it was weird because it was like the forbidden door.
He's in between. Because he defends it, but he's kind of cocky, slimy champion. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, he was doing the stuff with the other belts, so it's been a very interesting reign for him. So we'll have to see what they do with Hangman. But all right, so they got Malachi Black does a thing. His stuff's usually pretty good, like nothing.
He pretty much
crazy.
just told me Arn Anderson's going to betray.
I mean, we've all been
Cody.
waiting for it. I still want to see Cody betray Brock Anderson somehow. Like that's what I want out of it. But so we got CM Punk comes out. He kind of does the Moxley thing. My dog is joining the podcast. I don't know if that came through the mic or not, but he was like,
I cannot hear it. Nope.
Okay, excellent. But yeah, so he talks about that, but then he talks about Eddie Kingston because Eddie Kingston interrupted his promo time previously.
This is an interesting thing because everything CM Punk's done so far has been kind of meh to me.
Yeah.
This is the first time that I've actually gotten into something that CM Punk has been doing. So
yeah,
I kind of enjoy this.
Well, I mean, the Darby thing was like built to and a pretty big deal. I feel like everything he's done's been good.
Yeah.
Like I've enjoyed it. Like the matches have been fine. But yeah, this is the first one that since Darby that's actually had like a little bit of legs to it. That was more than just a week. So I mean, we'll jump a little bit here. So did you see like the face-to-face they did on Rampage?
Yeah.
How do you like that?
I thought it was pretty good.
Now, so I felt like in the beginning I was like, something's off with this, but by the end of it, it was good.
They did a very good job explaining why Eddie Kingston did what he did.
Right.
Because at first I was like, okay, Eddie Kingston's turning him heel, I guess. He's already there anyway, sort of. But,
well, yeah, because like
no.
It was very weird because it started out very much where it felt like CM Punk was the good guy and Eddie Kingston was the bad guy, and by the end it was like, I don't know who's in the wrong, but I definitely can see Eddie's point more than Punk's.
I don't know. I still think Eddie Kingston's bad guy.
I mean, I think he's supposed to be, but like, he got across his perspective of the events enough to be like, I could see why he'd be a little bit chafed by that.
Eddie Kingston, to me, he just has the heel personality about him.
I mean, he looks like a heel. Like
I can't see him anything other than a heel. So
right. I mean, he can be a likable heel.
You could tell me that CM Punk killed his puppy, and I would be like, well, there probably was a reason for it. You know what I'm saying? So
probably because Eddie Kingston threw it at him, and it was
I mean, it would take a lot for me to. But yeah, you know what? Eddie Kingston's a good guy here.
Yeah, so is this one of the first times? Because I know it is for me, where the whole thing started with, oh, you interrupted me, and now we're going to end up having a match. But, like, it doesn't feel like it was completely stupid. Like, he explained why he kind of interrupted him and why he didn't care. Puck explained why he didn't like it. And, like, they went into the history. I mean, for a you interrupted my promo time match, they did a pretty good job of getting it to feel like it matters a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
More than I'm used to. All right, let's see here. We got Alex Marvez talking with the Super Click.
I hated this whole segment.
I like seeing the concerto to a bad guy.
And that's the problem I have with it. Because you have Christian with two jobbers. I'm sorry. and they're supposed to be the good guys, but they do bad guy moves. I'm just like, yeah.
But I mean, like they were getting revenge. Now I could see an argument that revenge should have came at the pay-per-view. Like if Christian gets the concerto on Cole and the Young Bucks or whatever, because they put him out for a little while. If that happens at the pay-per-view, that seems like a better place to have it happen than here. But I mean, in general, I was okay with it. Like, I will say, even though I am fairly critical of Luchasaurus here and there, when he choke slams somebody onto somebody else, I love that. That's probably one of my favorite beat somebody with another somebody things that I see from time to time. So
I'm sorry, Luchasaurus. Keep him mid card. Maybe mid card. Just keep him.
Keep him
I
away.
don't know. I just don't like him.
I want to like him a ton,
Yeah.
and he does some things I like, but yeah, I mean, he is what he's gonna be, but
Yeah.
So yeah, so personally, I was okay with this. I enjoy it. Like, I like when the bad guy gets like something bad happens to him, but it does seem like you could have maybe held on to that for the pay-per-view, but we'll see.
Well, maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's Christian. I've just never been into Christian. I don't know.
I haven't
I'm
either, honestly, but
I'm just not into the storyline. I'm just rooting for Adam Cole, I guess.
yeah, I mean, that's fair. I think a lot of people feel that way too. So this match, this is funny because you had sent me a text while I was at work mentioning this match, and I was like, is one of the guys from the AAA teams like that Aerostar guy that just constantly like dives off stuff and almost dies?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it is. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I swear that's the guy at one of the Triple Manias that like climbed up a lighting rig and just basically hit the ground.
Well, I think I counted twice where FTR saved the guy from getting hurt. So
Well, you had mentioned, be like, yeah, FTRs saved their lives. I
yes.
was like, I'll have to see that. And then watching it, I was like, oh, you weren't exaggerating. Like, that guy would be dead.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was an okay match overall.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was super weird when Darby was in the shadows.
Yeah,
I said in the I would never call it that. Like, they just showed Darby, but I was reading it literally said in the shadows. So,
yeah, I thought it was kind of weird too.
but then I was like, well, they are part of Pinnacle, and MJF, so it would make sense that he would be watching their stuff maybe.
Yeah, FTR is weird because they're being paid off by Andrade. I don't know. The whole thing's kind of weird. I'm enjoying it, but yeah.
Right. I mean, at least they're putting it in the open as to why there's this alliance of any kind.
Yeah.
I mean, later we get something that's fun, and then it was the weirdest thing. The Inner Circle comes out, and then my TV just stopped working for a while, and then all of a sudden it was Anna Jay against Jamie Hayter.
Yeah. I think Tony Khan's getting the getting the message because Dan Lambert didn't talk a lot. He was more the goober,
right?
Than anything.
Well, I was listening to something that had Lance Storm on it, and he was like, I mean, they have built a scenario where you want to see Dan Lambert get punched in the face by somebody. And he's like, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So he was like, end result, you're going to get probably something that you want. So now, this Anna Jay Jamie Hayter match, I was kind of in and out on this one, but I was super surprised that she did like a brutal short arm clothesline and got the pin. I thought Anna Jay was going to win this thing.
Really?
Well, not like the whole tournament, but this match.
Yeah. See, I thought Anna Jay would be in and out.
Yeah. The one thing, if I were to criticize, Anna Jay's selling, and again, she's like super young into the business. But anytime she's turning, like if she has her back to someone and turns, her selling during turning around is not very good.
Yes.
I know that's like a super specific thing, but it's to the point that it's happened a few times recently where I've actually like that specific scenario when she's like repositioning herself. It's like she's super focused on making sure she gets herself positioned correctly, which is important, but any like facial expression or any selling just disappears during that moment and then comes back.
Yeah. Well, with Anna Jay, I'm going to do what CM Punk did to It said, I want to say what CM Punk said to what's his face, Eddie Kingston. Ooh, big tournament match, it's a little bit too high for you. We need to kind of keep you down to like elevation or dark. I think Anna Jay is. I think she's going to be good. She needs. Being in this tournament was a mistake. I don't think they should have put her in this tournament.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with it. Like, the crowd's into her, so it's someone that you want to see. I mean, I don't think it's wrong that Hayter won the match. I was just surprised. I really thought they would have had Anna Jay go further into it just from a positioning or whatever. But that's fine. Like, I was definitely surprised, though. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So we got MJF comes out next. This is basically your big fight, I guess.
Yeah, before the pay-per-view,
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was good. When he clotheslined him over the barricade towards the end of this thing, like, usually when I see people, like, try to part the crowd and get, like, the head of speed, they don't really get the head of speed. They get, like, a jog. Darby sprint. I should have known better.
With Darby Allin, you're going to get it.
Yes. He definitely delivers what I would think would happen. Again, I'm just so conditioned with, like, I don't know if it's lazy wrestling at times, but where it's like, oh, okay, you're going to do this big run, but not really. You're going to do a trot. Well, whereas Darby is like, watch this.
I think the word you're looking for is safe. I think they're like, well, I don't want to hurt you, and I really don't want to hurt myself. I think Darby Allin's like, okay, I don't care if I hurt myself. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to hurt you, but I might take it here.
I might eat it with the guardrail here.
Yeah. But again, Darby doesn't have to wrestle every single week, so he can do that and have time to recover because he's not wrestling 4 days this week. All right, so here we go. This I enjoyed. You got Cody and Andrade. Match-wise, I thought it was fine. My favorite part of this was actually a tweet that Cody made later on, because like he gets jumped by FTR, which somehow got under the ring somewhere. But either way, like, so Cody loses, but like later on, Cody was like, maybe that whole FTR thing was a bad idea. Like going all the way back to the Revival. So I did enjoy that. And it makes sense that they would eventually get their hands on him. So you think they're working? So
you know what? I didn't even pick up on that. I completely forgot about the whole Cody thing with that.
Yeah, I mean that's going back. So I'm sure they have no problem getting some money and hitting him. But now, do you think this is going to be a way for Cody to slowly get involved with the Pinnacle and then eventually get a rematch against MJF?
Maybe. Cody, anything with Cody is up there.
All options are on the table.
Yeah, I mean, because I think they definitely hinted that Arn is going to betray him, and Arn's going to go back to Tully.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, maybe that's how they're going to do it.
I mean, which is fine. Like, I think everybody's been waiting for it the entire time. So
I mean, my God, I mean, Arn. I mean, I've always had a problem with it. It's like, no, you had epic feuds with his dad.
Arn wanted to be the one to break the cycle.
Yes.
But it turns out that that's not going to work.
Yes.
All right. So the match you missed, Orange Cassidy and Miro. Miro just really beats the crap out of Orange Cassidy is really what happened here. So I assume this was what Moxley was going to do, but just not nearly as brutal.
Sure.
And then, so now I do think while Bryan Danielson against Moxley would have been a much better match, Miro's fine in the ring. I think this is going to be good. And they're probably just going to beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering where they're going to go with it, to be honest with you.
So my assumption would be that the original plan was Moxley is going to be a heel,
Yeah.
or at a minimum portraying a heel role, and he's going to be Hangman's first, like a big opponent for Hangman.
Yeah.
To beat. Probably because he's not going to have a long reign, so they want to give him some pretty high quality matches with it. Like, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So I would have assumed Moxley cheat to beat Bryan Danielson. I don't know if they're going to have Miro beat Bryan Danielson.
Well, it's because Danielson, as far as a character go, he has no personality in AEW right now. He's just a wrestler.
Yeah, he's just like a machine, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's
beat
no
people up.
Yeah, there's no. And when I say he has no character, I know he can be characters, but he's no character in AEW right now. He's just
right
a wrestler.
I mean,
so yeah, I don't know.
He could very easily, if they wanted, because he has like the mean streak to him, and he can definitely say that he's better than somebody, and it's pretty much true. Just in general, I mean, he could win, and he could easily, if they wanted to let Hangman beat him. That's the big thing, is like, how do you want to handle that? He could easily play a heel to Hangman.
Yeah.
Like, he could do it.
They could, like I said, they could bring back Eric Rowe in there, or Redbeard, and do that old storyline, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he needs. I think Danielson could go the "I'm better than you" and you're soft kind of heel.
Yeah,
and then it'd be good, but like, I don't know, because do you want to beat Bryan Danielson if you're going to have Miro beat him? And it doesn't hurt Bryan Danielson to win, but it seems like whoever beats him, it should be a big deal. Like, Hangman beating him would be a big deal, especially as a first title defense. Miro beating him would be good too. I mean, Miro's basically calling out God for a shoot fight, which is, I never would have guessed that would be the way it would go, that Miro would be like, you abandoned me, I'm going to find you and fight you. Like, all right.
It's very reminiscent of when Vince McMahon called out God.
Yes, but this is very reminiscent, but very different. Miro has not been like washing his hands in the holy water at a Catholic church, while everybody else steps back to avoid the lightning.
Yes.
But yes, I really don't know what'll happen. I mean, you could have I just don't know. I don't know what you do in that match. Like, I don't know how it plays out now.
Which is good. Which is what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be an excellent match no matter what. So, which brings us real quick. So Rampage kicked off. It had the Danielson and the Bowens match. I thought Bowens did very well in this match.
But I didn't expect Bowens to win.
Right. I feel like this is one of those matches, though, where it was like, I haven't seen a ton of Bowens in like high-level matches.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious how he would do in this, and he did really good.
I think they're like, let's build this guy up because his partner kind of has a big mouth,
and he's eventually going to do something dumb.
In case we have to suspend him or fire him, let's establish Bowens as an actual threat. So yeah.
Well, I mean, Bowens has an excellent look. He doesn't talk a ton, but when he does, I don't feel like he's awkward when he's talking.
Yeah.
And then, like Max Caster is fine, but you gotta. It's like, is this guy gonna cross the line and
I don't
get
think
us into more trouble?
I don't think he's very smart as far as not realizing what he can and cannot say.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, if you're looking to be a little bit edgy,
sure.
Like, and you have people around you, they're like, no, I think that'd be okay.
Well,
but their opinions are not necessarily good.
Because MJF has done some stuff. I'm like, ooh, buddy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, like, Caster, maybe because he's rapping it, like, it gets more attention. Like, because he's basically, it's like, oh, this guy's trying to push the lines. MJF isn't really like, oh, he's trying to push the lines. It's just like, oh, he's just not a nice person.
Yes.
So it kind of comes like they could both push the same line, but one it comes across as
differently.
Yeah. Which I don't know that that's fair, but that's the only thing I can come up with.
Sure.
But yeah, so I mean, good match though. We got the CM Punk Kingston face to face that we talked about.
Yep.
Red Velvet seems to be getting better in the ring. I didn't pay a ton of attention to this match, but she moves very fluidly a lot of the time.
Yeah. They need to watch it with her, especially because she's very close associated with Cody. So I can see fans turning on her. So they need to watch what they do.
I don't know. I mean, she does the overdrive as a finisher and makes it not look like the worst move ever in the history of wrestling. Rivaled only by the Saxonation. I don't know if you've ever seen that move.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay. That move, I still don't understand how that move was supposed to work. But yeah, so then they did Silver and Adam Cole. Adam Cole selling not quite a concussion, but the concerto.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a good match. Like, Silver's definitely in that Dark Order funny guy tier.
Yeah.
But you know he can wrestle. So I don't know, because some people had issues, which I thought was strange, had issues with the degree of competitiveness this match was. What do you think?
Well, just because Dark Order comes off as a comedy act.
Yeah.
And Adam Cole and the Elite, they're somewhat of a comedy act, but they're evil comedy act, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. They're doing it to be annoying.
Yeah. So
yeah, two different tiers.
I can see why people have a problem with that.
Do you think so? Because I mean, Evil Uno and Stu, they're very good as a tag team.
Yeah.
Silver and Reynolds are very good individually. They're good. Colt Cabana's always been kind of like a
goof.
Yeah, like he's a goof character, sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, he can definitely go. I mean, he's a legitimate athlete on top of everything. But
yeah. So
in general, like the Dark Order, like they're all capable, but they're funny. Do you think if Hangman wins the belt, they go on a more like they're like, we need to get some gold, and they take like a more serious line?
No, I don't think they can. I mean, just because with Brody Lee, yes, but when Brody Lee died, the Dark Order just became like this a joke.
The lovable good guys.
Yeah, goofs, comedy. Yeah. So you need to break up the Dark Order for me to really think that they're serious. In my mind.
I think they could, if they made it a point of getting more serious.
Yeah.
And they explained it, I think they could do it. Because I think everyone in there is good enough to do it, but they would have to like spend some like, because the crowd likes them now, is the big thing.
Yeah.
So I think they could pull it off. I'd kind of like to see it because like watching like Silver's really good.
He is.
So and like Reynolds is like, would you see someone that you don't think should be able to do something athletic?
Yeah.
That's how I always feel about Reynolds every time. I'm like, he just doesn't look like, it's like he's like skinny John Travolta, but he's doing these things. So
skinny John Travolta. There you go.
Yes. Technically. So all right. Well, I think we could probably wrap up if you want. Or do you have any other?
Yeah, I'm rambling.
Like, are you looking forward to Full Gear? Like, it doesn't have quite. I don't feel as hyped, but I think that's because I'm watching the shows on replay, and I've had a lot going on.
Do you think we're going to get Wyndham up here? Wyndham. Whatever.
Honestly,
Wyatt. Let's call him Wyatt.
I don't know. The thing is, though, like, I don't feel like I need like a big surprise for Full Gear.
Okay.
Like when we were coming to the other one, there was so much stuff going on with like Brian. You had the Punk excitement and the Cole excitement. I was like, oh, I want to see something.
Yeah, sure.
For this one, really, if Hangman wins the belt, like, I mean, they could give me like a 3-hour match that culminates with that, and I'd probably be okay with it. and just that's the only thing on the pay-per-view. Like the other stuff is basically to get me to that match. So,
gotcha.
Because I don't even know who Sammy or all Sammy's in like the 5-man with the Inner Circle, I guess.
Yeah, Sammy's with that terrible storyline.
Yeah, at least that'll hopefully be the end of it, and then we can get back to people trying to break up the Inner Circle. Because that's the real title in AEW is who's going to be the one to disband the Inner Circle.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'd be curious to see how the Go Home show for Full Gear goes this week.
Yeah.
Because if you're like a ratings person, like it seems like ratings are down a little bit for Dynamite, but I mean
Well, I think ratings. So this is the time of year where ratings do go down because people are doing stuff.
Right. Well, also AEW had quite the run of craziness. Like, if people were watching it expecting that level of excitement every week, that's not sustainable at all. So, but I'm still waiting for some good shirts to come out that I actually buy. They could go ahead and work on that. Like if Hangman would get a shirt that's wearable, that'd be great. He gets closer and closer. So, all right. Well, we will return next week. We'll either have predictions about Full Gear, I would say, or we'll be talking about Full Gear if it's on a Sunday, because we are back to a Saturday pay-per-view. Thank goodness.
There you go.
All right, everybody. I just spilled energy drink on the floor, so we are going to end it there.
See you later.
Later.